My video for the 19th of January 2018 is entitled Another Time of Desperation and Doubt. Many tell me, quote, "Keep the faith, Ron," end quote. I chuckle as I type that. I have tried very hard to find justification for my long-held beliefs in a loving God and the promise of a kingdom of heaven before I die. This may sound like a broken record for those who faithfully listen to my videos every day. Yesterday was a trying day for me as I was without internet connection or landline phone access for at least 10 hours. I was on hold when it finally came back on less than a minute before a representative came on with me. For me, the waiting was draining since the internet is such a vital part of my daily life. Also, my car would not start. All sorts of things came to mind. One of those was that the RV was finally happening and my communication and transportation were being cut off. I doubt that was the case, but in times of desperation, doubts flow easily through the mind. I'd like to keep the faith, but that is more of a challenge for me than it was earlier in my life. I've experienced far too many disappointments. Indeed, I was glad when I finally came back to the computer after recording my video early last night, like I'm doing again tonight, and I didn't have an internet connection. I mean, this was 6 a.m. in the morning, and 4 p.m. rather, I still didn't have internet connection. So it was at least 10 plus hours. And I finally, didn't do all the automatic responses that they gave me earlier in the day. I was bound and determined to talk to a representative. So I was on hold waiting to talk to a representative when finally it was maybe 30 seconds before the person came online with me that all of a sudden the internet came up and was back online again. And my car, the situation there, this was the second time this year, which is only 19 days into the year, the second time that my car wouldn't start on a cold morning. And yes, somebody asked, did you have antifreeze in it? After it happened the first time, I went and I put a half a gallon of pure, not 50-50 antifreeze, a half a gallon of pure antifreeze in, thinking that maybe that had been the problem, that my antifreeze level had been depleted for some reason. In any case, I did the things that I know to do, but even at 11 o'clock in the morning, my car still wouldn't start. And my daughter, of course, had to leave work and go get her daughter and take her to school. So that messed up there. But at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, my car started right up because the temperature had increased enough to allow that to happen. So these things frustrate me. And as I said, people were saying, well, the TV is on. Now, it's strange. I don't normally watch TV. But I came back and I checked, and yes, the TV worked. Now, it's the same lines coming into the house that operate the TV as operate the computer and the telephone line. So 2 of the 3 services weren't working on the same line that the other one is working, which doesn't still make sense to me. How they can keep the TV running but cut off the internet. That is part of the doubt that crept in. Well, they want the brainwashing tool, which is TV. They want that up and running so that people will pay attention to the negative stuff they're trying to do and create more fear and more apprehension, because that seems to serve the purpose of these dark entities that have taken over the world, and were allowed to do so by, quote, a loving God. I mean, keep the faith, Ron. I mean, they tell me. Well, I believe that there was a loving God, but why would a loving God allow demons, literally demonic element, that have no natural compassion, that have no ability to empathize, that have only a very dark agenda of controlling and manipulating and violating every part of free will? We don't have free will. I mean, I've seen that. I saw that when they forced me to get a Florida driver's license, when I wanted to bypass that and use my international driving permit from Washington, D.C. to operate my vehicle. They wouldn't let me do that. I had to get a Florida driver's license. I had to become part of the system, and I spend as much effort and time as I can trying to escape the system. I don't want to be part of their corrupt system. And the more I've awakened to what's going on in the world, the more desperate I am to see real changes. And I'm not even going through as serious a series of challenges, rather, as people are in many of the third world countries, where they struggle to even find food to eat, and the water they have to drink is often polluted, and they just don't have some of the things that in the United States we tend to take for granted. Even homeless people have it better, except on cold days like this in Florida. The homeless, I mean, there were churches opening up shelters for people to come in out of the cold, because for Floridians, it was really cold down in the 30s, and somebody said it was in the 20s, and I was told that wasn't true. But somebody here in the apartment complex indicated that it was actually in the 20s yesterday morning. Again, that was not verified, but it did reach the low 30s again. Folks, these things may not seem like much when everything is going reasonably well in your world. But I really want to see, before I die, I want to see the changes that I've believed were going to happen in my lifetime. I want to experience them in my lifetime. I don't want to go to some heaven or some other world where that is the real reality. No, this is my real reality. This is where I am right now. Here and now is always the real reality, not some future or even some past. Now, I know they can manipulate, and they've been able to manipulate time, and there's been a lot of stuff going on. I get all of that, or at least I hear all of that, and I don't want to get it. I want there to be a simple reality, but it's a very complex reality that we have to deal with. It's not easy, and it frustrates me that so many of my friends want to put their head in the sand and focus only on what is the illusion that they want to become the experiential reality, when actually that's not the reality. If we could all get on the same page, I think we could transform things. But there are so many different points of view, and so many people trying to push forward their own agenda, that we do not get on the same page, and it seems like it's impossible to. Even talking to my friends, it seems impossible to come to a mutual agreement about much of anything anymore. It's more and more difficult to reach that place of unanimity. Anyway, folks, I'm still striving for that, and I appreciate your listening. Namaste.